Trouble is on the brink as Zach LaVine has been assigned to the Windy City Bulls of the G League in order to come back from an injury, as no trade partners have been found to date. We also have some players that have been mentioned that are younger that the Bulls could target in some trades, as the deadline is just about a month away. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. This is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so make sure if you aren't already subscribed, go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and everything that you need to know about the Chicago Bulls will be notified to you every time that we upload. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic of today, and that is LaVine to the G League. So yeah, there's been some rumblings over the past day or so that they've assigned him there to kind of help him vamp up from injury, but he wouldn't have had to be assigned at all if there were more trade suitors that came about when the Bulls looked for a trade for him to start with. It has a lot to do with the contract, it has some to do with the defense, and it has a lot to do with how things have been handled as of late too. Is it because the Bulls haven't taken offers that have come their way that are probably of the correct value right now? We don't know that much inside, but hopefully we'll get more of an understanding now as he starts to ramp up and come back and the deadline very close away. First thing that we saw was from the Chicago Bulls official Twitter saying, roster update, we've assigned Zach LaVine to the Windy City Bulls, and it said in brackets for practice. This has happened with a lot of star players in the past. Not usually guys of LaVine's caliber unless it's super serious injuries. And we didn't really think this was like a surgery type injury because it just hasn't been. Very weird to put him back there, but I guess they're just trying to get him in the swing of things without as much contact and maybe, less grind of the NBA practice scene and just getting him in the G League. But it's still an odd choice for sure. Next thing we saw in an article about it was for over a month, Zach LaVine has been sidelined due to right foot inflammation. During that time, the Chicago Bulls tried to shop LaVine, who has been the subject of several trade rumors. However, the Bulls haven't been able to find a trade partner. With LaVine nearing a return to action and no alternative option in sight, the Bulls got him some practice reps by signing him to the Windy City Bulls of the G League on Monday, being yesterday, of course. The next thing that we saw was actually from KC Johnson on the matter, saying, along these lines, Bulls just assigned LaVine to the Windy City Bulls, who are practicing at Advocate Center right now. This is LaVine's first non-controlled contact scenario as he tries to clear final hurdle before return. This was actually him responding to a tweet he put out saying, Billy Donovan said Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and Torrey Craig all will remain in Chicago for this 2-game trip. While Donovan likes their presence in locker room / on bench, with back-to-back and them all doing on-court work, makes sense logistically to keep them at Advocate Center. So we haven't heard any rumors of Vooch or even Torrey Craig being put down to the G League, but they haven't been out for very long. LaVine's been out, as it was just mentioned, for over a month, but it's still a very strange choice. And I feel like behind the scenes they're trying to word this correctly because the team has been very good without Zach LaVine there. So maybe it is time to shop him for what we can get. Hopefully the value is still there, but I do feel like we don't know the full story on value when they look at a guy that's been injured, a guy in a big contract. It's really tough for us to get off that contract. And then with injury woes on top of it, it's very challenging for another team to take him on, just matching salaries alone, which is why that we've really had to go into the trade machine here at Bulls Digest and see what is plausible for other teams to offer us so that they can still remain within the cap. The next story that we're going to talk about today is 2 more young names on the radar. We've talked about a few guys. We've talked about Kuminga. We haven't touched too much on Moody, but we have mentioned him. And we actually just recently talked about the Bulls getting Wiggins, Draymond Green. Different players have been mentioned all over the league. And now we have some more guys that have been mentioned. Now let's get right into those. It actually said as the NBA trade deadline inches closer, the Chicago Bulls are going to be a top team to watch. Ever since their ugly 5-14 start to the season, they've been a common squad brought up as a potential seller. The top story has been the search for a Zach LaVine trade, but other pieces could be moving around as well. While their primary focus may be finding a LaVine deal, as well as trades for DeMar DeRozan and other veterans, the Bulls should also be keeping an eye on players they may want to bring back in trades. Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report listed 3 names as potential Bulls trade targets. So it's true. I mean, obviously they've looked to move LaVine first to see what the team looks like. They haven't been able to do things like that, so now it's like maybe we should move DeMar or Vooch or Torrey Craig or Javon Carter or anybody at that matter. So it's interesting to see now that they're going to a different route of things. Maybe they're going to go even younger, and maybe we're going to give up, more value for less value in hopes that they become something in the future. Next thing we saw was one of the names Buckley floated was Memphis Grizzlies forward Zaire Williams. The 22-year-old has appeared in 30 games this season, playing 19 minutes a contest. He's averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds, and about an assist, while shooting 38% from the field and 32% from behind the three-point line. Those numbers are not very good, let's be honest. But Zaire Williams is very young. He's a long guy. He was the 10th overall pick, I believe, just a few years ago. This is a guy that has a lot of potential in this league. He is another guy that has a long wing, similar to Patrick Williams, but a little bit bigger even at that matter. And when you're going through this retool or rebuild stage, which seems to be where they are with these trades, you have to take on some guys that you hope are going to become something and aren't already something. So he could be a guy there. It doesn't mention what he would be traded for. Maybe we could get him for a low value because he is having such a bad year so far, and then a new home in Chicago could really turn things around for him. That's all that I feel to think about this. The next player they wanted to mention there was, he also mentioned the idea of targeting draft assets as well as Washington Wizards point guard Tyus Jones. Chicago should prioritize draft picks over everything. This roster will require a complete overhaul at some point, but if Chase's win now talent for some reason, then a pass first point guard like Jones might connect this roster the way Lonzo Ball once did. Buckley wrote, Williams, meanwhile, represents the kind of low-cost flyer this franchise should be taking if it ever leans into a youth movement. So I'm going to have to agree and then strongly disagree. I don't think that they fully just have to go into a full rebuild right now. If they're going towards a youth movement, so to speak, with Zaire Williams, it's a solid choice for them to pick up, as he is a guy that has a lot of tools that, if put in the right system, could really, really flourish. However, Tyus Jones, Lonzo Ball, completely different players. Lonzo Ball is a big point guard that can switch onto other bigs and is a great defender as well as playmaker and three-point shooter. Tyus Jones is a guy that doesn't turn the ball over, is a really good playmaker, has the ability to shoot at a good percentage. It's kind of up and down with him, though. Sometimes it'll be like 40% from three, then it's 30. It's really up and down. However, right now I do believe that it is pretty solid, but he is not a good defender. Tyus Jones is a poor defender, actually, so do not compare him to Lonzo Ball just because of the offense, because even the offensive aspect is not quite there for Tyus Jones upon the level that Lonzo Ball was in those 35 games we had him. And even before that, when he was with the Pelicans, he's a better player than Tyus Jones is right now. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. Hope you all enjoyed the video there today. Lots more coming, I'd say, in the next few days. There wasn't anything really touched on there yesterday, so I want to let some more news build upon us to make this video for you. And I hope that you enjoyed everything we had here. Some new trade targets, new news on Zach LaVine. And yeah, next time we get some news, we'll see you there tomorrow in that video. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. Go down below, like and comment on the video. Subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell for notifications, and I'll see you all in the next one.